headphones.
I tried to mix on them and they terrified me.
Guess what, guys? We are actually here in Warren's studio with the man, Warren, sitting right next to me. I can't believe it. Thank you, Warren, for doing this video with me.
Oh, you're far too kind. The honor is all mine.
Oh, thanks.
I love what you do. We should do more stuff together because we're sort of very complementary because you do loads of stuff that I don't do.
Yes.
And there's loads of crossover stuff, of course.
Absolutely. And I know that all my audience knows this guy. But
really?
Yes.
Thank you.
But I'll tell you something. It is so different actually sitting here in the studio.
So what is your impression?
I'm like, wow, there's just so much more stuff than I expected. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces, you know, depending on where the camera is. You've got amps, you've got guitars, you've got...
And you've been in the house and seen all the stuff in boxes that's sitting there.
It's got a lot of other stuff that you never
And we have a storage unit full of gear.
Today, with Warren, we're gonna do budget versus dream picks. Warren has no idea what I'm about to ask him.
Please.
So, here we go. Microphone, budget.
Just like an SM57. And I know every microphone company is going to hate me from saying that. I'm so sorry because every microphone company worth their salt is making like $100 dynamic microphone these days. And there's so much choice. And they're probably maybe even better than a Shure SM57. Just being honest, because they probably put more time and love. But the thing about an SM57 is the sound of rock and roll to us. Now, obviously, other genres as well, but you put that on a snare drum, boom. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sounds like the records I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put it on a guitar amp, sounds like the guitar.
I totally get what you're saying.
They've got a presence lift, that 3 to 5K range that our ears are very sensitive of. You put that in on a snare drum, put a bit of 7K, a bit of 120 to 220 kind of area boost on it. Sounds like a rock and roll snare drum that you've grown up in. Not just rock and roll, everything. You can sing vocals into it. My friend...
So versatile and unbelievable that it's so affordable. Yeah.
My friend Ulrich told me he recorded Paul Rogers. And from Free, Bad Company, and also when he worked with Queen as well, he said he came down to the studio, and he had like a 47 or something like that, a really beautiful 67 up.
Yeah.
And Paul Rogers comes in and goes, you know what? That's not the mic I normally use. I can't remember what it's called. Here's my tech or my engineer's number. Give him a call. He'll tell you what it is. Yeah. He calls him up and says, "What does he use?" He goes, "SM57."
Wow. That goes to show. Yeah. All right, dream pick.
It's a tough one because I already own it. I mean, I have a U47. That's what you see over there.
Hey, it's totally fine if you own it.
But what I don't own, and based on a dream of not having, is a really beautiful vintage U67.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought I knew a lot about the Beatles, but obviously I didn't, because my friend Jerry Hammock, who wrote those Beatles recording reference manual, who I've just written a book with, we've written a book together about recording, I was talking about, my favourite vocal sound. And you might agree with this being a Beatle fan. I think the greatest vocal sound of all time is Hey Jude. When that comes in and goes, Hey Jude, you're just like, oh, it's so warm and inviting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I just assumed that it was a U47 or a U48. So I'm having a conversation with him a few years ago, and I was like, oh, no, well, of course, I got the 47 because I just wanted that Hey Jude vocal sound. And he's like, Warren, that wasn't done at Abbey Road. And I was like, what do you mean? I can't remember now. I'm going to get it wrong. I think it was done at Trident. I think. Somebody look up. Anyway, so it wasn't done there.
Yeah. And
he's like, it's done into a 67. And I was like, what? And I've looked it up in his books, in other people's books. It was a U67.
Wow.
And I've never owned one. I've had them. I've rented them. I've been to studios. So probably my dream mic that I don't have would be a nice 60s vintage
67.
U67. Just so.
Love it. Love it. I like hearing the story behind it too. That's interesting.
You know me, you always get stories.
Yeah, no. This is the interesting stuff. And actually, one thing that I really like about Warren and him making videos on everything from plugins to reviewing hardware to how to mix, all that stuff, is because we need producers with his level of experience to really be imparting that knowledge and also looking at the new stuff. And how music production is changing, and not not just saying, hey, this is how I did it 20 years ago, and you do it that way, but saying, hey, this new plugin just came out, let's give it a try and see what we can do.
Yeah,
with it. I really like that about the work that you're doing.
I feel like as well, to talk about microphones as well, just to, I've worked a lot with Lewitt because I feel like they are the young, they're such a forward-thinking company, because we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
About when you review gear, we have the same philosophy, you know, which is like find what's good about it and who might want it. Because feel like we have a responsibility to talk to everybody, and I always say, you know, our channel's from 8 to 80,
Yep.
and everybody in between. And so if I'm 15 years old and I'm recording my first music, do I really need to know what that is?
Yeah.
And if a plugin manufacturer comes out and makes a plugin that does 5 different things, like does the SSL sound, the Neve sound, the API sound, or whatever, that to me, that's music to my ears.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need the dogma associated with the gear. I think that it would be great to have all those emulations, but build it into a nice clean plugin that makes some sense.
If you have questions or comments for Warren, put them under
Put them
this
down there.
video. Yeah.
I do that. I will go and answer questions under your video.
He's got
I guarantee.
a wealth of knowledge. If you have questions on any one of the things,
Put them under this video.
Put them under the video. Next one, headphones. Budget pick.
That was easy. We just did it the other day. I cannot believe Audio-Technica's sub 100 range. It was $49 at Sweetwater.
Yeah.
And the difference between that of a Sennheiser, and Sennheiser make great headphones, but Sennheiser and Shure and Sony and all this stuff, the difference between it was so negligible, and yet it was half to a third of the price of the next one up. Could not believe it. And I had been told that by many people.
Yeah.
I just never ventured down there.
How does that compare to, because I've recommended the Sony MDR 7506s.
Yeah,
So,
they're great.
Yeah. How does it compare? So I haven't tried the Audio-Technica you're
Honestly, I
talking
thought
about.
the Audio-Technica had a better low-end response than the
Really?
Sony's.
Okay. I gotta try that. What about your dream headphones?
I don't know yet, because I got the Clear Pros. I've got the Focal Clear Pros, and I think they're like $1,400. And I listened to my favorite music on them, and it's pretty insane. I tried to mix on them, and they terrified me, because I was trying to mix, and suddenly I put up one of my favorite records I'd ever made, which was a Trevor Hall record called Chapter of the Forest. It's one of my favorite records, might be my favorite album I ever produced. And I mixed it here and everything. Oh, wow. And I loved the vocal sound. I loved it so much. And we have a song on that record which has 62 million plays on Spotify alone. People love that record. I get more work from that record than even like The Fray with 1 billion plays. And I put that record on, put the headphones on, and was like, I don't like the vocal sound. Oh my God, there's that S there that could have come. They're so good that they almost scared me. And I've met many mixers who say similar things, like they want to mix through good speakers or great speakers, but they don't want to mix through something that's just going to make them second guess and question their whole sanity. So it's a tough one. Then of course Odyssey are making the Mariquin headphones.
Yes.
And
the MM500s.
Yes. And we just went to that event the other day. That's where we met. Mm-hmm. And they are of that similar kind of ilk, maybe just a little tiny bit more forgiving. So I don't know if I can say, and I know there's a couple of other things. I have Biodynamics 1990s, which are about 800 or something like that. They seemed a little bit more like I could probably work on them every day. But it's a tough one. And then I know there's channels I've been looking at recently that are full of audio files, which I respect, these particular people. And there's one guy, I'm blanking on his name, he was a friend of Jonathan's, that has a headphone channel, and he brought in some earbuds for me. And he was like, these are $2,500. You know, and I put them in, and I was like, this is insane.
Wow.
They can sound that good. These sound better than most headphones I've ever played. And they were just earbuds. So it's a tough one, but I can't give you a straight answer, but my limited experience, it would be between the Focal and the Odyssey, knowing what I know.
Budget audio interface.
It's the Audient Evo.
All right.
It's ridiculously good. Truth be told, I haven't tried like a Behringer or something below that, so I don't have a control to say, oh, it's so much better than that. But compared with everything that's more expensive than it, it sounds as good as everything that's more expensive. For me, the Evo is the perfect tool, and it gets used because the mic pre's sound good, and I can literally just press a button, set the level, and record. Don't get me wrong, I've got Crown mic pre's from tape machines with tubes in them and transformers, and I've got a Cadac console over there from Pi Studios, and I've got 1073s and 312s and Spectrasonics and you name it, Ampex. You know, I've got so many different mic pre's. But when you've just got an idea and you want to get it down, I could travel with the Evo. It's this big. The Evo 4.
Yeah, I've actually reviewed it on the channel if you want to check that out.
Yeah, check out. Put a link to it.
Did you actually do a review on it too?
I've done a couple on their Revos.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that's the budget pick.
How much are those? They're like 150, 129, isn't it?
I think it's 129 because they're falling right to where the Scarletts, the entry-level Scarletts and stuff start.
Yeah, I'm really impressed.
Okay, dream audio interface.
I think with no budget, I think most people on the pro level would agree that the merging technologies ones. So I have a friend who was doing, so Harvard, IU, got together with the Library of Congress, and this has been going on for years. I think it's still going on. For the last 10 years, they've been going back through all of the old audio recordings and digitizing them. So we're talking about wax cylinders, cassettes, micro cassettes, every format, vinyl, you know, everything ever. And they've been going for, and of course it's years of work. So what they had to do is they had to go in and test all of these different interfaces. They wanted to make sure they chose the best sounding one. So they had all these boffins choose, and Emerging Technologies came out on top. Yeah.
Wow.
Overly engineered.
Yeah. Definitely
Definitely designed by, you know, electronic engineers. You know, if you and I design something, well, you're probably more technical than me, but musicians design things, it's more tactile and dumb and does the job. This is definitely, their stuff is definitely designed by people that, you know, have spent their lives inside of manuals and...
I hope this one's easy for you, but I don't know. It might not be. Guitar, budget pick.
Oh, that's easy. That's so easy for me because all of Yamaha's range are phenomenal. And the reason why, it's like I'm looking around, there's so many Yamahas. I told you the story earlier off camera about this guitar here, which I was playing on Instagram Live, and I assumed
this
was
is
the
the
Japanese
one behind that story.
Because when they sent it to me, it doesn't have a sticker of a country of origin. So I played it because it's so slinky. It's amazing. Usually guitars that are this fast, they choke when you bend. So I just assumed this is the Japanese one. It sounded amazing. It's chambered. It's a glued neck. You know, it's like a Les Paul on steroids. It's absolutely amazing.
How much does one of these run?
$499 on Sweetwater.
Okay. There you go.
I mean, I have Les Paul Customs, and I love Gibsons. I'm not one of those guys that's anti-Gibson. It makes no sense to me. I love all guitars.
Yeah.
Every company has made good and bad stuff. So this, it's $500.
What about dream pick?
My dream guitar actually is not this kind of thing. It's not like a player's guitar. It's just the one I always wanted as a little kid. Yeah. And that is, well, first of all, I don't mind Brian May's guitar. Brian, can you give me your guitar? No, it's the Rosewood Telecaster that George Harrison plays on the Let It Be record. It's the Get Back movie, for those who've seen it. Yes. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I know Fender have reissued it several times over. There's an American one, there's a Japanese one, and I believe now they've made a Mexican one, and that's the one I'll be getting. Really? Yeah. Because the American ones go for like 25 grand. The Japanese ones go for like 10 or 12. Wow. You know. Interesting. But
I'm a huge Beatles fan too. Yeah, so yeah, you say that, I know what you're talking about.
So it's less of like, you know, like some handmade, you know, because of course there's so many of those kinds of guitars that I would like. Yeah. But that one from a fan, Beatle fan, right. It just, they're so heavy because they're solid rosewood. They're like literally, I played one once, one of the American ones, and it was like, you imagine like, you know, he's playing it, doing all of that stuff with this, watching him on Let It Be play that for like an hour, standing up. When he took it off, because he was a little guy, he was like only like 5'9" or 5'10" and weighed like 8 pounds. I imagine like he took that off, like his shoulder was probably like,
This is maybe more of a desert island pick, but if you have a budget pick, I'd love to hear that too. Outboard Gear.
Oh. Affordable outboard. Affordable outboard's easy.
You got something?
Yes, because it's used.
Let's do that. Okay.
There's so much good used stuff. Oh my god, there it is down the bottom. You can probably get that DBX 160A. Okay. We're using on the piano. That is a compressor of choice for pretty much every major engineer I know on the kick drum. Okay. I've used it on that is still probably used between $100 to $150. $100
to $150 for an outboard compressor.
Nice. And it's really nice. And DBX told me, that as far as they're concerned, it is the same VCA that's in the unit above, which costs you $2,500. Yep.
What about Dream?
Dream. I used to have one. Pi compressors. Those are the ones that everybody goes after. Or Helios, Mike Pre's always had that sound. 10cc, of course. Not in Love was recorded on a Helios.
Yeah.
The famous wraparound one. Our friend Al Sutton, who makes the Acme stuff. So this is Al Sutton. He makes this. He is doing the reissue, like schematically, everything perfect to the Helios stuff. So I haven't got it yet. Al, if you're watching this, I want that. I think one of the other pieces of dream I finally got. I got this from Chris Whitten, who was a drummer actually with Paul McCartney on an album and toured with him. This is a data mix, or data mix, depending on where you're from. These were from, I believe, the Record Plant. This has the Roy Cicala mod on it, who engineered Walls and Bridges, a whole bunch of, Dream Number 9, John Lennon, Drove long ago. Yes. That's Roy Cicala. He refused to take any production credit, so he only has the engineering credit. But Jack Douglas, who assisted on those records, told me Roy produced them with John. And Jack's a very good old friend of mine. We call him Uncle Jack. And so when I got these, I FaceTimed him and showed him these, and all my hair's standing. And he goes, yeah. Wow. He's like, yeah, I remember that console. Yeah, these are the pre's from it. I was like, how do you know? He goes, because it's got the Roy Cicala mod on it, and like blah 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 blah. And I was just like super super excited. So this is kind of a dream thing to have.
Yeah.
Because I grew up listening to those records from New York, the Record Plant stuff. So to have a couple of channels from the console is like pretty awesome. So every now and then you get a dream thing.
Yeah. Growing up with something, with the sound.
Yeah.
Learning what it was recorded on.
Yeah.
And then being able to get something. That's definitely a dream.
I've got a Cadet console from Pi Studios there, built in 1971, that did like Who records. I've got one of Eddie's guitars.
Oh, no way.
Eddie
we
gave
have to
me
do
a
another
guitar.
video just with some of the vintage gear that you've collected.
Yeah, Ace gave me one of his Budokan custom shot guitars and signed it over. The Eddie one is obviously means a lot, because obviously Eddie died a couple of years ago, and he signed it over to my son. So it says to Charlie, play it loud and piss off your dad. Eddie Van Halen.
That's priceless. I love your storytelling. I love learning about what's behind some of these picks from you. Thank you so much for sharing that information.
Thank you. You're very kind.
You will learn so much more on Warren's channel, Produce Like a Pro. Please check it out. And you might see some content with me coming on his
We'll try and release it the same day.
Hey, that would be cool.
That'd be fun.
But thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience, and thank you for having me in your studio. It's been awesome. And hey, I'll put a link to Warren's channel right below the video. Check it out.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, tout zin. Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.